Welcome back into that Sean podcast. It is I, the Big Ush. It is he, that cat daddy. Another edition. We are in full college draft mode.
Yes.
Cat daddy, what's on your mind?
It's the most wonderful time of the year. We have the Super Bowl coming up in the NFL, and then we just finished the Senior Bowl. We got the Combine coming up in a couple of weeks, and then it'll be smokescreen season, all the rumors, all the misdirections, and then we have the draft. This is a great time of year. The only thing that can make it better is if my Packers were in the Super Bowl.
Well, that didn't happen. So.
Damn.
Anyways. Onward, the Cowboys being the Super Bowl would be better than the Packers, just saying. But anyways, we just had the Senior Bowl week, and I emphasize week. So, for everybody who doesn't know, Senior Bowl week is about evaluating these players over the course of a full week. It's not just about evaluating these players, how they played in the game. Honestly, the game itself doesn't matter as much because, there's so much more that goes into the evaluation of these players. And having 1 week to work with these guys that you've never worked with before, it's not enough. It's not enough. But, there's some guys here who made themselves some money. This is actually one of the best Senior Bowls in a long time in terms of the week of practice. But I have to explain that. It's about the week, not just about the game.
You have the measurements on the Monday. You have practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is more of an interview day where they have a chance to interview with teams. And then Saturday is the game. But really what matters is Monday through Friday. The game is a small portion of this. It's the highlight. That's what everybody pays attention to. But for draft purposes, you want to pay attention Monday through Friday. How do they perform in practices, the NFL type practices?
And we start with some fun stuff. Double jointed. Is that what it is? Because everybody's making a big deal about hand size. And Kenny Pickett did not get his hands measured because he's saying he's double jointed. He wants to make sure that it's done correctly. Well, that being said, Kenny, until you do get them measured, things like what happened in the rain on Wednesday, I believe it was, that's going to be looked through a microscope. He had kind of a rough day on Wednesday, the ball slipping, the ball sailing. There's only one quarterback, apparently, out of all of them, that actually looked good on Wednesday, and that would be Malik Willis. And bringing up said guy, it looks like Malik Willis is the one quarterback that helped his stock the most. No quarterback has separated themselves. But Malik Willis, because of his up and down year, even though I venture to say his year was better than Josh Allen's at Montana. Wyoming, sorry. I apologize. Wyoming and Montana are two totally different places.
Start upsetting people. Don't do that.
But Josh Allen's last year was not good. He's a very toolsy guy. Same thing as Malik Willis. But what you got to see from Malik Willis is in a setting that is better than the setting that Liberty gave him, he can do some stuff. He has a great arm. He has great athleticism. I think this guy's driving up the draft boards, and he's positioning himself to possibly be either the or one of the top quarterbacks to go in this draft.
Yeah, if we're focusing on quarterbacks, then I want to start with Malik Willis. He showed that he's got one of the best arms in the class. He looked better during practice week, which is helping his stock.
No, the best. The best.
The best arm in the class. He looked better during the practice week. He looked better in the rain, and I think that kind of helped him separate himself. Was during that rainy day practice, I think it was day 2, Wednesday, while the other quarterbacks didn't perform well, he wasn't fazed. He wasn't bothered by it. Mike Tomlin had his eye on Malik Willis a lot during the week, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we get closer to the draft.
Sorry, Mike, I don't think he's making it to you.
He might not with this performance at the Senior Bowl and how well he did. But for me, he drew the start in the game. And I know we focus on the practice, but I want to pay attention to the game for this part because he drew the start. He displayed his mobility and then some. He ended up rushing for 54 yards. Now, for me, we know he can run. I wanted to see him throw in the All-Star game. I think he only completed 2 of 6 passes for 11 yards. And for me, I was lacking seeing him pass in the game. We know he's got a strong arm. I wanted to see his decision-making in the All-Star game. Throw more.
But that was the decision-making. Decision-making is to not throw an interception when your receivers aren't open. Because that's the thing. That's what I wanted to see, too. And when Sam Howell got in Sam Howell had to run the ball. I honestly believe those receivers were not getting it open, and the offensive line was not holding up against that pass rush.
They weren't, and I think that says a lot about this defensive class, the defensive talent that was at the Senior Bowl, because we're going to get to that in a few moments. I think I have more winners on the defensive side of the ball than I do on the offensive side. Like, a lot of defensive guys made money, but Malik Willis, he looked better than he had all season. I think that's a good thing for his draft stock. Another one of my winners from the Senior Bowl was somebody who didn't actually attend practices or the game, and that's Matt Corral. You're probably asking, well, why is he a winner? He's a winner because while the quarterbacks looked good, they looked good, but nobody separated themselves. Nobody said,
let him not be part of the conversation.
I had to bring him in. I had to. And nobody claimed quarterback one at this Senior Bowl. And I think that was a big missed opportunity for all 6 of them. There were 6 of them, right? Yeah, there were 6.
See, the only reason why I disagree to an extent, non-performance does not equal good performance. So Matt Corral, even though, yes, they didn't separate themselves from the pack, anybody who was there, they're technically separated from him because they performed at least. And
they have a head start. I'll give them that.
He needs to get that ankle going and be at the combine.
Oh, absolutely.
And throw. If he's not at the combine, he just does his pro day. Then, considering the state of this quarterback class, he's going to be behind the 8 ball.
Now, that I agree with, but I still think he's a winner for the Senior Bowl purposes because he's still in the mix to be QB1. Now, pro days, I do not like pro days. I think pro days should be meant for people who weren't invited to the combine because all pro days is a whole bunch of scripted exercises, and that doesn't show me anything. So,
but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He has to perform well at the combine and or the pro day, preferably the combine.
Right now, I believe he's behind Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett put himself in front. No. I think Malik Willis put himself in front because of his tools. Kenny Pickett's next, and then it's Matt Corral.
But it's like this class has so much volatility that this could change next week. Like, there's no
Could be.
this person's
Could be.
QB1 and you got to fight to get him out of there. It's a wide open race. Who I had as losers would be Kenny Pickett. I think he struggled in that day in the rain, and I think that really hurt, especially when there's the criticism with the hand size. He was still wearing a glove on that day, and he was still throwing not as well as he could have. Let's see, my other loser for the day, and by loser I just mean somebody who didn't help their stock. Yeah. For me, it was Desmond Ritter. He wasn't in my top 5 previously, and after this Senior Bowl, he wouldn't have been in the top 5.
He just was.
He had a great opportunity to showcase consistency and quiet doubters, but I thought that we saw the same Desmond Ritter in the Senior Bowl that we saw all season long. And what makes it worse is that while the other quarterbacks there, for the most part, were able to answer questions about some concerns.
Yeah, he didn't answer anything.
There was no movement. So no movement is negative movement in that sense.
He didn't move the needle at all because Sam Howell showed off his deep ball. He showed people he can do stuff. Carson Strong showed his footwork's better than what people thought. Yes, he still had some warts going on because he had some accuracy issues.
But Carson Strong showed that his knee is no longer an issue, and it shouldn't be an issue. He showed that he had the ability to move in the pocket, and he also showed that he had command at the line of scrimmage, which is something that the other quarterbacks weren't able to do, because with Nevada, I think he was up at the line of scrimmage. He was calling audibles. He was changing plays. Right. He had that ability where the other quarterbacks may not have had that same freedom. Now, it's not saying that they're not capable of doing it, but we saw it from Carson Strong.
But from my understanding, Malik Willis, regardless of his experience with it, also, my understanding is the 2 guys that showed the best command at the line of scrimmage were Carson Strong and Malik Willis.
All right, enough about quarterbacks. You got any running backs? Andrew,
no, we're going to go to offensive line.
I don't know, we're bouncing. Okay.
Yep, offensive line first. And the best offensive lineman of the week was Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Hands down. Not only did he do fantastic, especially in his guard drills, but he showed he can do center, he can play tackle. This guy can play all 5 positions. Now, note, he is naturally a left guard, but in a pinch, he can do a lot of stuff for you. Another guy who's looking pretty good, had some struggles, but looked pretty good, was the behemoth, the big man, Daniel Fellaini. Fellaini. Now, no, he was a fish out of water because he's in a heavy RPO offense, which they're telling him you gotta get. They're doing the 5-step drop, so you gotta kick slide. You gotta look for that defender trying to take your inside. This ball ain't just coming out quick. The other one I want to put out there's a center, I forgot his name, who played extremely well from a small school. But the other small school guy I want to put out there who had an up and down week, but I think helped himself, was Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning did get beat a bit. So his functional strength needs to be worked on. But his nastiness, his tenacity, and his learning ability was on display.
I think we have a lot of the same offensive linemen that we had our eye on. For me, Zion Johnson was one of the big winners. Not only did he look good at guard, but he was willing to step in and take snaps at center, because I think there was only one true center who had a Senior Bowl invite. So that meant one of these teams was without a true center. And while a couple of people had stepped into it, Zion Johnson took up the challenge, and he was staying after just working with some of the quarterbacks on the snapping.
It was
And-
Malik Willis he worked with.
And it's a completely different ball game because not only does he have to snap the ball, but as soon as he snaps the ball, he has to get into a blocking position, which is a whole different beast. And I think it's great that he showed all that effort because teams are going to notice that. And I was able to listen to a brief interview with him, and I thought he interviewed really well. You can tell that he has high intelligence. He already has 2 degrees. He has a bachelor's in computer science. He has a master's in cybersecurity. Like, this performance this whole week gets him into the first round conversation. So Zion Johnson, I think, definitely improved his stock. Someone else who I thought improved their stock was Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. Overall, I think he's a winner for the Senior Bowl. There were a couple of times where he's getting pushed back and pushed around a little bit. That can be fixed. You get him into a weight room in NFL. You get him to focus on setting a stronger base. I think that will be less of an issue. He had a horrible play where he threw a defender, which by itself wasn't bad, but he threw the defender down right into Desmond Ritter's legs, and that was like one of those palm-faced moments where you're thinking, that was just a horrible play. Like, you threw the defender into your quarterback. But what I did like was, man, he was looking to start a fight with every defensive lineman there on his team, on the opposing team. It didn't matter. It seems like every snap he wanted to fight somebody. He has that nastiness. He has that physicality. He's going to be really good in the run game. What he's got to do, and what the coaching staff at the next level is going to help him with, is some of those emotions, you got to taper that a little bit, because I think I saw a stat that he had 16 penalties during the course of the season.
Yeah. But here's the question. Here's the big question. Would you rather have a player who you got to tell, some guy, I need you to tone it down just a bit?
Oh, I'd rather have it in this situation where he's got to bring down the intensity rather than try and coach the intensity out of somebody. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I'd rather have Trevor Penning in that situation, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Like, you do that in the NFL with players who have been there for 8, 12 years, you might get a different outcome versus a college guy. True. Trevor Penning, I thought he was a first-round talent to begin with, and I think this just helps solidify that. But he's still got some work to do, but looked good. I was not as impressed with Daniel Fellaini, though, from Minnesota. Like, he comes in, he's showing off this behemoth size. He's measuring, 6'8", 6'9", 380 something. Like, the guy comes in as a mountain, as a man, but his size appeared to be a disadvantage at times when he couldn't stop the faster edge rushers, those speed edge rushers.
That was going to happen.
Exactly.
This was going to happen.
I did. But I was still surprised when it did happen.
But
as the
week went on, he got
Did he get better? He did. Can this be fixed at the next level? Yes. But I think it just shows the lack of experience that he has with football.
Right. No. But I still think he's a winner in the aspect where he showed he can learn.
He did. I was expecting more. That's why he's in that loser category.
All right. As for running backs, I don't think we need to linger on running backs here.
I just want to point out 1 or 2 running backs. One that I really liked was Dameon Pierce from Florida.
Pierce did really well.
He measured in a little bit small. He's 5'9", 220, but he looked really good out there.
He was 5'11".
He was 11. I thought he was 5. Okay, I might have gotten it wrong.
11. Those 2 inches matter.
They do. He looked good running the ball, and he looked, I thought, better in pass protection. And I think that is what teams are going to notice, that the guy his size, 5'11", is a willing and capable blocker. And I thought that's going to do really good for him. Ryan Robinson from Alabama.
And Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
who came from Alabama.
Indeed.
But Brian Robinson, just like Dameon Pierce, was looking really well in the pass protection drills, and that's going to be something that keeps him on the field early in his career. So I thought those guys made some money.
And for the wide receivers, Christian Watson at North Dakota State came and elevated his game. I don't know what to do with Kelvin Austin. I get it. He gets open. But he's 5'9".
Yeah,
what
he
do
was.
you do with this guy?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. He measured on the smaller side. He displayed great speed, great quickness, but what do you do with him? He's got to go to the right offense.
You got Khalil Shakir, who might not be the fastest guy. I would be Boise State. Not the fastest guy, but he catches everything that comes to him.
He catches it, but I thought he was one of the better route runners, and that really helped him gain separation. I thought that was huge this week for him.
And then you've got the other enigma, Romeo Doubs, who has got great size, great speed, but he's got bad hands. Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, that Wednesday practice in the rain, he had several drops, and that was a little bit concerning.
Shades of Darius Hayward Day.
Yeah, Christian Watson, as you mentioned, showed great speed, great ability to go along with that 6'4" frame. I thought Jalen Tolbert looked good on those one-on-one drills, showing off the physicality with the blocking. I thought Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama had a good week. And I think those are really the only wide receivers I had notes for.
Then for tight end, in my opinion, the tight end that had the best week didn't play in the game. I think Jeremy Ruckert came in, showed he's got a lot to like, especially as a receiver. His blocking ability is known, but I think he showed as a receiver he's got some legit stuff. What's his name? Who's the one? Trey McBride caught a lot of balls, but I don't think he moved the needle. I really don't. I think he just did exactly what he does. He feels more like remember Harrison Bryant? I think it's Harrison Bryant, drafted by Cleveland. That's what he feels like. What's gonna happen when he goes up and plays against talent that's the same level as he is?
I thought that Trey McBride looked like one of the better tight ends out there, and if I had to redo my rankings right now, he would probably be 1 or 2 with how good he was looking that I thought. One that surprised me that I didn't expect was Greg Daltrick from UCLA.
Yep.
Showed good hands. He showed impressive blocking skills. This is a deep tight end class, and he was setting himself apart out there.
You know what I wasn't expecting? How big Charlie Kohler is. That dude is massive.
He's a big guy. One guy that I thought didn't perform as well this week was Cole Turner from Nevada.
No.
And we're noticing a trend here with Nevada, right?
Yeah.
Romeo Doubs, Cole Turner. He doesn't offer a lot with run blocking to begin with, and didn't show a lot of pass catching this week. He didn't.
Well, it's
didn't show
them. They're playing with the big boys now.
I know.
So they got to showcase it.
And that's the importance of the Senior Bowl. Is like you don't get this stuff at the combine, but you get drills, but you don't get this.
Now switching over to the defense, we're going to start in the secondary and work our way to the better players. So in the secondary, as safety, the only true standout I really liked was Jalen Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
There's another guy, I forgot his name. He played well, but Jalen Petrie was the standout.
Yeah, he was, and it just makes me even more happy and glad that I had Jalen Petrie in my top 5 in the last episode that we did. Did he measure a little bit smaller than expected?
Just a bit.
just a little bit, not a lot. But when he's out there, his play makes he
Speaking of
plays
guys,
bigger than his size. Like, he displayed good coverage skills this week, and I thought he played the run really well, but that was expected. Another defensive back before we change gears, I thought who played well, Roger Mccreery.
well, I was about to say, speaking of guys who played bigger than they are,
Yeah.
Roger Mccreery did not measure large at all. He doesn't have great length, doesn't have great height, but he is feisty, tenacity. He was the best corner out there. I mean, Kobe Bryant was up and down. There's some other guys that were playing up and down. But Mccreery, he's the one guy who was there. I mean, this cornerback class is deep, but it's mostly juniors.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame some of those juniors didn't meet the graduation requirements to be able to participate in the Senior Bowl. Because I would have loved to have seen some other people show up here at the Senior Bowl.
Now, with that said, the most surprising group, because I'm going to say this, the defensive line, I expected it. But the most surprising group that played extremely well, that showed a lot, were the linebackers. Let it be JoJo Doman. Let it be, what's his name? Chad Muma.
Chad Muma.
Let it be Channing Tyndale, Georgia. I mean, these guys were all showing up, showing out, showing their skill. Channing Tyndale, he's a raw guy. Like, someone's gonna get a diamond in the rough that can develop him. JoJo Doman. If you just need a guy who can cover, dude can cover.
Yeah, which means that he might be that hybrid linebacker safety role.
And then, as we were saying, Chad Muma, Wyoming. This is a guy who showed that the stage wasn't too big for him. These are the big boys, and he belongs with the big boys. Now, unlike some of the other guys who weren't up to that task.
Another Wyoming guy who played with the big boys and showed out well, Logan Wilson. He's playing in the Super Bowl.
Wilson, yes.
Chad Muma's following. They looked good. One that I want to highlight is Jesse Luketa from Penn State. He was looking good all week. Combination of strength, balance.
I just don't. He's not a linebacker.
What's that?
I know he's listed as a linebacker, but he's not a linebacker.
I think he's capable of playing multiple positions, which is really great. He's drawn some comparisons to Teddy Bruschi, and like, this is a guy who you're thinking Bill Belichick really is circling this guy right now because of how he could use him in New England. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jesse Luketa in New England on draft day.
All right, moving to the defensive line. Did anybody do better for their stock than Travis Jones or Perrion Winfrey?
Yeah, at first I thought you were just talking about Travis Jones, and I'm like, I gotta stop you there because Perrion Winfrey did a lot for his stock. He was already high for us. Yeah, those two.
Well, and it's just like, let's take Perrion Winfrey for example. What in the world is Oklahoma doing? Why is this man playing out of position? Because it comes to the Senior Bowl. If there was no Senior Bowl, people were talking about him going to the 5th round. The 5th round.
Yeah.
Now people are like, he could be as early as a 2nd rounder. He dominated. The quickness, the burst, the getting upfield. You put him in a traditional attacking 3 technique, and this guy will feast.
He had a fantastic week of practice, and he turned it into a great game. He was named the game's MVP. I thought even if he didn't record any sacks, he still was playing so well. He was eating blocks. He was eating double teams. It was allowing his teammates to get sacks. And I'm like, that's so great. But he threw in 2 sacks on top of that. You're like, this guy's legit. This guy's going to be pushing top 3 for interior defensive lineman being drafted. Travis Jones from Connecticut. I thought he made himself some money out there. He was looking dominant.
Yeah.
And then Devontae Wyatt, he was looking good one-on-ones.
Yes, Devontae Wyatt looked very good also. Jumping to the edge, I'm going to start with a guy who you would consider a loser because he didn't help with stock at all. And that's Logan Hall. The needle didn't move.
Yeah.
The needle did not move. Now, then we go to another guy. The needle didn't move. All right, this other guy, the needle didn't move, but he showcased himself. It's just the thing, like, rephrase. For guys like me and you, the needle didn't move because we already had him in our top 5. It's hard to put him higher than where we have him. But Jermaine Johnson came and dominated the whole. Like if it wasn't like it's Jermaine Johnson and it's Perry and Winfrey. Those are 2 pure standouts of the entire Senior Bowl. But it's just like, how in the world do I put Jermaine Johnson over George Karlaftis or Kayvon Thibodeau or even David Ajabo? Like, I can put him over Travin Walker, which I do have him over Travin Walker. But those other guys, you get what I'm saying?
I get it. During the season, when Florida State was playing, when Jermaine Johnson was out there, he looked like the best player on the field. And I thought the same thing was true during the practice. Whenever he was out there, he looked like the best player out there. He didn't play in the game. Don't blame him. He showed out so well during the practice week. He didn't need to do the game. He skipped the game. I'm fine with that. He showed enough during the practice week. And it really helped solidify, like, you are, if it were me, you'd be hearing his name in the first round. Absolutely. Another edge guy who I thought earned himself some money this week. Two specifically are.
No, there's a bunch.
Like the big risers. I'm
gonna get into some of them, but go ahead.
Boye Mafe from Minnesota.
Yeah, he's one of my big ones.
This guy made himself so much money.
Your boy got himself back into the talk because there's people who I'm listening to are supposed to be smart people. They're like, I didn't even know his name. And you know what I'm talking about?
Better be Majay Sanders.
No. Majay's my boy that you have adopted.
What?
You adopted him. That's my guy who you adopted. Your guy who you've been supremely on, Kingsley
Enagbare.
He came out, he showed out. I was hearing people saying, I didn't even know who that guy was. What?
No.
But
yeah, I thought
there are 2 guys who were afterthoughts that I think made themselves a ton of money. One of which I'm going to do some slander on the pod real quick. So the first one, D'Angelo Malone, Western Kentucky, proved he belonged. But the one, I'm going to put some slander out there. What in the hell are they doing at Ohio State? I'm sorry. What is going on? Because Tariq Smith came to the Senior Bowl and dominated. He dominated through the week. He dominated in the game. What is going on? Where was this all season long?
Yeah, D'Angelo Malone, I agree. That's my big riser. Like you have Tyreek Smith, I have Boye Mafe.
But no, you give it the Boye Mafe's on my list too. You already said his name, but I'm just saying, like Boye Mafe, you get it. He's coming from Minnesota. He doesn't get showcased enough. But Tariq Smith obviously gets showcased on the bigger stage. What are they doing where you're not seeing him show up in those games, but he's showing up here?
I got 2 words.
What's the 2 words?
Jeremy Ruckert.
Fair enough. And then there's your boy Kingsley Enagbari. How many sacks did he have this year? How many sacks did he have this past year? Do you remember?
Yeah. Not off the top of my head. Nope.
I got 2 for you.
Right, but who else had a
you
very
get
low
what I'm
sack
saying?
season that they parlayed into a great year?
Odafe. But no, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying. These guys who...
Najee Sanders, the same thing. Cincinnati's putting him out of place. He's not meant for that 3-3-5.
Like, what are these college teams doing? And I don't understand it. How is playing these guys out of position? Perry and Winfrey. How is playing these guys out of position helping you win games? Like, honestly, someone explain this to me. How is, like, getting these awesome athletes who, if you play them in their proper position, could wreck other teams? How is that helping?
I think some of the complication comes in because there's always that revolving door of talent in and out. So you can't build the system around the players. You have to make the players fit the system. I think that's where some of these deficiencies come in. Like, you don't see
these
the guys playing.
suck.
No argument. No argument. Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, especially the defensive line, I think there were a lot of winners. Like Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State looked really well.
Right.
But then I have 2 people who I'd put into the loser category who didn't help their stock as they should have. One of them is Phidarian Mathis from Alabama. And what was surprising for me was how well
I forgot he was even there.
Exactly. You have Perry and Winfrey, you have Travis Jones, you have Devontae Wyatt. They were playing so well this week, and I was expecting to see more out of Phidarian Mathis, but I didn't see him winning a lot. So I think that may end up hurting him a little bit. And a second guy on the line was Cameron Thomas, the edge from San Diego State. He's been a guy I've had my eye on. And
didn't show that he belonged.
It was a huge missed opportunity for him. He came to the Senior Bowl a little bit injured, and that injury prevented him from practicing and playing, I think, beyond that first day. And I think that was just a huge loss for him because this was a great chance to showcase what he could do against better talent.
I'm about to slander Ohio State again.
Go for it.
Because Haskell Garrett also played very well and showcased himself very well at the Senior Bowl. And that's a dude that, what happened during the season? Because, that's a guy that I was high on before the season. And then all of a sudden he put out a dud. Then he comes here and he's showing off all this athletic ability. He's like, where was this, my guy?
Yeah.
But anyways, after moving on. So, just want to let everybody know that's the Senior Bowl. We had some, guys rise, some guys possibly fall. There's a lot that goes into this evaluation. It is interesting that some players were able to show more athletic ability than they showed during their career, which is going to be an interesting aspect of things, especially when you see guys like Odafe Owe, how he did not have the production in college, and look what he did in the pros. Look at what Micah Parsons did. Micah Parsons, everybody knew in college that he was this athletic freak, but they didn't know he was the unicorn he was going to be. So it's going to be interesting. Same thing with like a Javon Holland, the diversity there, the way he was able to help transform that Miami defense. So we're wondering which ones of these guys are these juniors or whoever is going to be able to showcase a lot of this. We got the combine coming up. We got some Cat Daddy next after the combine. We'll be starting his pet cats. He's already going into some of them soon. So stay with us. Cat Daddy, words of wisdom.
These are the episodes to pay attention to. I mean, all of them are episodes you want to pay attention to, but the ones where we're talking about the Senior Bowl players, and we're going to go deeper with the combine and how that looks, because that's going to make or break prospects right there. These are names that you want to be familiar with because most of these names won't be called on day one. People who know they're going to be top 15, they're going to be the top half of the first round, you typically don't see them go to the Senior Bowl, typically. But these guys are going to be what helps make your team on day 2, even day 3. So be familiar with these names, and if your team drafts one of these guys, there's a good chance they're going to end up being a difference maker.
Also, with what we've seen as of recent, things like how Oklahoma runs their defense, as Cat Daddy so elegantly said, it's not up to the college to model their system around the player. So some of these players need these athletic measurements, like the combine, like the Senior Bowl, like I know Cat Daddy hates pro days, but they need these things to showcase that they could be more than what they were. Yes, tape rules all. If you're on tape and you look lazy, you're probably lazy. But if you're playing out of position, or let's say your offensive scheme is just not great, who knows what you can do at the pro level? That's all I'm saying.